How you guys doing? This is Josh here with Ohio Fish Rescue. Well, yesterday I went and picked up a new stack of tanks. If you guys remember the guy who sold us the 265 gallon setup for 20 bucks, well, he did contact me again. And he had a custom 3-stack tall type tank like you get from Petco, but they were all custom made. And he wanted 25 bucks for the whole setup. So I went ahead and told him I'd go ahead and take them. I figured at the very least, if we couldn't use them here, we'd be able to put them up and let someone else get the deal, you know. But looking at this pond real quick, you can see we added a bunch of new lilies on this. There is a bunch of goldfish. Now you can see we changed the rock around here a little bit. We're making the flow just a bit better and making more room for plants up here. But going over here, I had to clear off the trailer yesterday, and we had a 150 gallon tank on there. This was the 125 gallon inside. So we took the 150 gallon, we painted it, we put that inside. Let me go ahead and take you in here and show you real quick. There you go. So it's 6 inches taller. Now we don't have no background on it, but I did rescape the tank and it's set back up. I did take the tiger barbs out, and now the balloon mollies and stuff can be able to breed in there without being picked on by the tiger barbs. So we went ahead and upgraded that tank while we were in the commotion of coming to get these new tanks. So, discussion for today. As you can see, these are custom tanks. They are 18 inches wide, 4 foot long, and about 14 inches tall. So they're right around 60 gallons. But if you can look, they are acrylic. Each tank has its own compartment, so you can fill this one without it leaking into this one. This one has 3, so you can fill this one without filling these 2. So I figured, what better type of setup for quarantine than these guys? Because we do get a lot of smaller fish in, and we don't always know what to do with them. So we always just, throw them in the same tank. And, we do want to learn from our mistakes, and we want to do things better as we grow and, the rescue becomes bigger. So the stand is out back, and it has a nice wood facade on it. But looking at these tanks, you see these big, giant sponges on here. Now, these are called matin filters. Now, a lot of the guys who get into cichlid breeding and smaller fish like that, they live and breathe by matin filters. Yes, it is just a bit bigger sponge filter, but it's not. It's the way it's done. All right. So if you take inch and a half sponge and you cut it just a little bit bigger than the space that you have, you can see here that the sponge is bending out a little bit, so it's pressure fit into this tank. Now, looking at the design of this, all he did was cut a hole into the sponge, used PVC, of course. He basically made a homemade aqua lifter. Now he did a diagonal hole into it. So you just have air hose on there, and you put an air stone on it. And you put this on it. It basically lifts air up, which brings water through this sponge. Now, if you cut these right, it's pressure fit in there. So all the water has to travel through the sponge, be lifted by the air column, brings water out through here. Dual purpose. A, it's filtering your fish tank, both mechanical and biologically, because there's a lot of bacteria that grows inside these sponges. And then it's also aerating your tank. So these are awesome breeding setups, and you do not have to clean these things but once every 3 or 4 months. Now, if I could have something like this on my huge tanks, I would switch to nothing but matin filters. But when you're dealing with, 1,000 gallon plus tanks, your fish come in, they bump them around, they end up getting them out. So matin filters just don't really seem to work for massive aquarium setups, but for small tanks like these, they are absolutely perfect. Now the next bonus for these tanks, I heat the room, so I don't have to use any of these heaters. He had a heater for each compartment. Now some did get broke, so these are the ones that are left over. Now you think about it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 compartments. That's 8 heaters running at the same time. That's going to be very expensive on your electric bill. Now, what do we like to do around here? We like to streamline everything that we possibly can. We run our whole fish room off of airline. One linear air pump runs the entire rescue. Of course, we have a backup. If the power goes out, the air pump will kick back on. But we have one linear air pump with 1/2-inch PVC running all the way around the fish room. So the perk with these is already have air running. It's already on my electric bill, so I can just run air lines to these tanks and basically have all this extra tank space for quarantine and smaller fish that we can adopt out, and it's going to be nothing more on my electric bill. So I hope you guys are taking note here. We do want our readers or our viewers to learn from what we do and be able to implement and make fish keeping easier as time goes on. Now, if you look at this tank, he did a different style matin filter. These are store-bought, pre-drilled. You have a big square of sponge filter right here. So your water comes in both from this side and the front side. Air comes out through the bottom. You can see the bottom of the air right there. You put this little piece of hard airline tubing with a stone on the end. It lifts water up and it comes right out the front here. So essentially it's raising air from here, bringing it up, and it is just bringing water through this sponge, basically filtering your tank right off of air. Now, this compartment right here is the only sort of wasted space. Could they have consolidated this a little more? Yes, they could have, because this is absolutely serving no purpose except it's hiding this PVC tube. So you could have gained another inch and a half of actual tank space. So I'm going to go ahead and get these things cleaned up here. Oh, actually, these right here are the sliding lids. There's a track on the front of this tank right here. Hey, let me get this in here. So you have 2 lids. They basically slide in a track, and they make the whole front basically a black plastic facade. And they did come with acrylic lids, of course, that fit the top. But I'm going to go ahead and get these washed up, and then I'll take you guys in back, and I'll be able to show you the whole standing facade that these tanks are going to sit on and where we plan on setting these guys up. Alright guys, we carried these tanks. Actually, we washed the tanks, and then we carried them in back. As you can see, they're in a lot better shape now. I'm still washing out the matin filters and whatnot, but I moved this 180-gallon tank from against this wall, because right here is where this stack's going to go. Yes, it is a homemade stand, but he put a nice black facade on it. I'm going to have to go ahead and attach one of these same black pieces to this side of the stand, just so it matches. But the whole front will look black. So let me go ahead and get these tanks on here, and I'll show you what it's going to look like in a minute. Okay, the lids are washed, nice and clean. They actually had a plastic protective coating on them, so I just rinsed them off and took that protective coating on. I did wash each of the matin filters, of course, so we can go ahead and get these in the tank and get it all set up. Okay guys, the tank is in place. As you can see, I got to re-glue this side piece back on. That's fine. Like I said, do this side little trim, but we do have sliding doors all the way up top. I put it to where there's 3 down bottom, 3 up top, 2 in the middle. Now these doors do slide, open and close. There's 2 on each lid. So he kind of mimicked it like a stack from Petco, but they are all acrylic, super lightweight, and each compartment is separated with its own matin filter. Now I just explained to you guys why we love Matten Fit filters. Now I'm going to take you around and show you that how many actual sponge filters we have. As you can see, we've got sponge filters there, sponge filter there, sponge filter, sponge filter, sponge filter, sponge filter. Hang on. There's 4 sponge filters in here. So I try and have it to where everywhere that we have air going into tanks, they're sponge filters. So it's dual purpose. The fish are getting air, the fish are getting mechanically clean water, and it's extra biological filtration as well. So you can see that we do live by it. Now let me go ahead and show you guys what I was talking about. If you look up here on the ceiling, you see 1/2-inch PVC ran with manifolds all the way down, all the way around the fish room. There's a manifold on the end over there. We have a manifold there. We have taps off of the pipe itself where we just screwed in our own valves. There you go. Now I'm going to take you back here and show you the air pump that we've been up behind the tanks at Ohio Fish Rescue. You guys don't get to see this much. Climbing over stuff. As you can see, just FX6s everywhere. But this right here is the linear air pump. It's a LP200 if I remember correct. But we have had this air pump running for 10 years and no problem. We have spares sitting right here in case they ever go bad. But it has never gone bad on us one time. So we absolutely live by linear air pumps. They are awesome. Now, if we do hang on the back filters, we go by 2. AquaClear 110s and Aqueon Fit filters. Doesn't matter the size, doesn't matter anything at all, but those are the ones we stick by, and we love sponge filters because it's ran off of air that we are already using. Okay, the tanks are filled. As you can see, running strong, but like I said, sometimes you get faulty air stones. That one's not really running too well, so I'm gonna have to replace that. This one, same thing, not running too well. That one's running nice and strong. That one, have to replace. Running nice and strong. Nice and strong. But the tanks are holding, no leaks whatsoever. They are starting to cycle. I filled them up with dirty fish water from a water change on the quarantine tanks. So I'm going to go ahead and let these guys sit for a few weeks and just let them do a fishless cycle. Now, I thank you guys for watching today's video. I hope you guys got inspired a little bit. Maybe you can learn something from today's video. Who knows? You guys might switch to Matten filters in the near future. But I just want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And for those of you diehards, click that bell in the corner. Thank you guys.